It has become tradition that the sport of boxing takes over on Cinco de Mayo weekend. For a long time, it was Canelo Alvarez fighting this weekend. Before that, Floyd Mayweather was able to have success box office wise fighting around this time. A lot of big moments. This is one of the tent poles of the year in the boxing community. Well, the tent pole blew over this week because it was an awful weekend of boxing. I don't think there's any way to sugarcoat this aside from saying this was a bad weekend in the sport of boxing. The spectacle on Friday was neat, but none of the fights delivered. Teofimo Lopez had just a sparkling defensive performance in his fight. The great counterpunching and defense of a guy third from the top should not be the highlight of your show. And that is what it was. And then it got a little bit better on Saturday, but then Canelo against Skull, was just a dud. Inoue does have a bit of a dramatic win on Sunday as he gets put on his keister and still comes away with a win, but it's far from saving the weekend. This was horrendous. It was really, really bad. And I think, like, Friday, you can kind of make a bit of an excuse for some of the fighters initially, right? Like, it's a weird thing that there isn't a setup at Times Square for these guys to fight in. They weren't able to go to the Jollibee that was over there to get warmed up, to get everything like that. They had to go to, I think it was at the Fighter Hotel. They got their stuff all ready to go, and then they drove. Ryan Garcia took the Batmobile. They drove from the hotel up to the arena. Do your entrance, walk in, and do it that way. That's weird. That is different from the normal that you experience as a boxer, right? And so I can understand how that would throw you off a little bit. For the first few rounds, but I feel like by the sixth, we should be warmed. We should be that lather that they talk about. That they should have that. We should know what's happening and be able to adjust and be able to actually do something here on the fighting side of it. And instead, it never clicked. And so then again, okay, atmosphere. No one paid to be here. You had a bunch of celebrities, a bunch of celebrity lookalikes, which was odd. That was so weird. And also caught Lampley off guard, which was really funny when he was like, "Oh, wow, Snoop Dogg's here." And Mike Cominger said, "Well, close." And then you realize that they're lookalikes. And it's just, okay, well, that's weird. And then, so you have a bunch of people sitting around the ring who have been invited, but aren't really making a whole lot of noise. And so when you are used to fighting in hockey rinks or football stadiums, it's a bit different when you're fighting in front of 18 people and none of them are making any noise because they're just kind of there to see something that it's tough to get the adrenaline flowing. But that should only be an excuse for the first 6 rounds. And it's like, okay, you know what? This isn't happening. We need to figure it out in a different way. I can't imagine that all these guys had this issue for 12 rounds. It was brutal. It was a bunch of fighters playing it safe. For the big, and I am more specifically going in on the Friday thing because of the spectacle that was supposed to be. We'll talk about the Canelo thing in a second here, but when you were looking at the fights on Friday, the Teofimo fight, the Haney fight, and the Garcia fight, all of these guys were keeping it safe. I will take Teofimo out of that because I think that he just fought a very good counter striking game, and he did it masterfully, by the way. Like, he was really good on Friday night, sorry, but for Haney and Garcia, it looked like they were trying to keep it safe. And this is one of the issues with how this all went down. Because Turkey puts on this big thing for Cinco de Mayo weekend. And we're going to do something that's never been done before, and it's Times Square. And it was basically used as like the Raw go-home show before the big pay-per-view coming up later on in the year. Because this was used as the thing to build up Haney against Garcia and the rematch. And like, you looked at the video package that they put together, and it was fun, right? Like, they're going through all these different things in Times Square and meeting the animation style and all of that. But it was talking about Haney against Garcia. And it's like, well, and these guys are going to fight different people tonight. I was like, oh, okay. But both fighters, both Haney and Garcia, looked every bit like guys who have a big money fight set up for September or on down the road and just didn't want to get hurt and didn't want to mess that one up a little bit. And so what comes out of that is that you have two performances that makes no one interested in Haney-Garcia at all. Now, by the time that fight comes along, there will be enough promo, there'll be enough this, that, or the other thing. Ryan Garcia will have done 9 stupid things, and you'll be able to build up the fight that way, and we won't really remember this. But there were probably a lot of people tuning in, and I'm not we are past the point of doing the, oh my God, did this kill boxing? We're past that point, right? But this was the first real step back I think boxing's taken in a while since Saudi money came in and all these mega events are being put on. And I think it was Turkey and co. kind of overthinking things and overplaying their hand a little bit. You can have a bit of a like handshake, like, yeah, Haney-Garcia, you guys can get it going. But the fact that it sounds like they had contracts signed and ready to go, it really did seem like it was like, just don't get hurt in there. And let's see, we'll see you guys on down the road. There was no urgency. There was no offense even. It was brutal to watch that one. And then Garcia goes out and loses. And that just adds even more to the what the fuckness of the whole thing. Like just a brutal display in Times Square there on Friday night. And I think one part of it too, that was just a quick aside. Jim Lampley came out of retirement for this one. And he had the I don't give a fuck of a guy who didn't care if he got another job at DAZN or not. Like and I'm sure that, I don't think that he is going to get punished for this at all. But even if he did, what does he care? It's like, oh, okay, I'll just go back to being retired then. Like Jim Lampley could host a Boxing Anything tomorrow and he would get paid pretty well for it. And so he was just going to be honest about it. And it sucked. And he was saying like, yeah, this was not great. And the one fight where he was saying like, well, in order to dream, you need to be asleep. And that fight put us to sleep. Like just those sorts of things. It was fantastic all night. Also, I know they've kind of been building up Coppinger a little bit. And obviously he has a thing with Turkey with Ring Magazine now and all of that. But, I don't think he's there yet for this sort of a thing. He just, like, when you compare him to some of the other guys who have been in those spots, he did not have that at all. And I'm not the biggest Mannix guy when it comes to boxing, but Mannix just called circles around Coppinger in that sort of a setting. So like from a broadcast standpoint, it was weird. And like all of that, like that part of it too was weird. You have Kate Scott who does the Champions League stuff for CBS and the broadcast stuff that they do there. And she is dynamite on that, like the playing off of Thierry Henry and everyone else that they have on there. Like she is one of the best hosts in the world, and so I think she did a really good job. And then you have McAfee, who is him, right? Like he is Pat McAfee in capital letters. And I think again there was a little bit of let's bring some eyeballs in. So instead of just random desk guy X, well, let's bring Pat McAfee in. Now McAfee is doing his show from here on Friday, and now we are getting more buzz, we are getting more attention placed onto our event because this is happening. And McAfee understands selling, understands building it up. I don't think he understood the fighters all that much. And so you get a bit of a whatever. And then it's Mike Tyson as the other color guy. And Mike Tyson is one of the from a fighting standpoint, one of the most respected figures in the history of boxing when it comes to what he can do in the ring and what he did in the ring. I don't know if you've heard him the last little while, though. We're not exactly articulating at our peak levels, let's say. And while the guy at one time was an amazing trash talker with the defenses and pregnant, eat your heart, all that stuff, this was not him. And so having him on the desk, it got uncomfortable every time. And you could feel both McAfee and Kate trying to like keep themselves back from saving him a little bit and just keeping it going. And it just felt like it all came to a stop. And then the broadcast would go to Tyson every now and then while the fights were going on. And now, thankfully, not a fucking thing was happening when those fights were happening. So, okay. But it was like, okay, Mike, you saw something there in that first round. Yeah, these two guys are fighting really, really great. And it's been fun to watch so far. Cool, Mike. Thanks. Appreciate it, dude. It was a lot to bring eyeballs in. And it just didn't seem like a lot of thought was put into, hey, is this going to be good? It was, okay, let's do Times Square. And like the drone shots are cool and all of that. And it's like, okay, well, can we make this in a way where the fighter's going to be comfortable? Not really. No. Okay. Well, whatever. Times Square. Cool. Okay. Well, let's have some big fighters on this. Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, and Ryan Garcia. Let's roll with these guys out. Okay. Great. Yeah. There's a rivalry there. We're gonna have them fight each other. No, they're gonna fight different people. So, okay. Well, we can build to that and say if these guys win, they're gonna get it. Right? No, they're gonna have a contract for that anyways. Okay. Well, now they're probably going to be playing it safe in a weird atmosphere that they're not comfortable with. So we're going to need the broadcast crew to be on top of it. Who we're going to have? Pat McAfee. Has he watched any of these guys box before? Doesn't seem like it. No. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to need a real expert. Like, he can bring the energy. He can sell. He's a wrestling guy too, right? Like, he can sell that. So who are we going to have beside him? Mike Tyson. Can Mike break down any of this stuff now? And again, I'm not disrespecting Mike. Like, we all cheered for Mike in that awful fight on Netflix, and have a full respect again for the in-ring abilities of one Mike Tyson. But that he got put into a spot that he shouldn't have been put into. He should have been let's talk to him once about some of the things that he saw and make it, honestly, let's talk to him once 25 minutes before we're going to air it, so that we can then chop it up into little chunks and make it seem like it was an awesome in-depth analysis-y thing and have it be that. It all was done for what we can put out on social media and what we can say we did, and none of it was done for, hey, is this actually going to be good? And you then get that with Canelo too. And Canelo, I think, is the bigger overall point of this whole thing, is that you can have dull fights with stakes, or you can have fights with no stakes and a lot of action. You can't have a weekend full of dull fights with no stakes. And that's what Canelo has kind of turned into, is that he has fought a bunch of guys that we now know he is significantly better than. And so because of that, we are going to need to see some exciting fights, but we don't get those either. And so you just get these fights that don't matter, that aren't getting finished, that aren't exciting, but are lasting 36 minutes and just dragging on. So it was just an awful, awful weekend. And we'll still break it all down when these guys fight again, because now apparently it's Canelo and Crawford coming up at a later date as well. So this was a unique outing for DAZN. It was a unique outing for Turkey and this new kind of era of Saudi boxing, and basically all of it failed. So a learning experience for them.